good afternoon, or whatever time it happens to be when you watch this. Hey, I just want to give everybody a heads up. I'm going to be doing a pretty long channel update, so if you want to skip to the part of the video that the title is about, I will put a link in the description. It's probably going to be a few minutes. Now anyway, I wanted to get this video out the other day, but then I ended up running late, and my buddy John ended up having some bike problems, and we only got to go out for about an hour and a half, so that didn't quite work out. But as far as the channel update stuff goes, I noticed something recently in the YouTube analytics, which I never really... Ooh, that was a big raccoon. But I never really checked the YouTube analytics, but I did the other day, and I noticed something. Because I noticed my videos just didn't... Something was off with the views. You know, some videos are jumping up to 1,000, and some are only getting like 20. It just doesn't make any sense. But I looked the whole way back for about the last 2 years, and I noticed that in the first week of May of this year, something happened where my views and my reach just dropped. I mean, it just plummeted. It's not like I have a big channel. I know, I realize I have 3,000 some subs. You know, that's not a lot. My channel is small, but something, it just didn't seem right. So I started looking at it, and it all leads back to the first week of May. And it's very apparent with my one video about the homeless in Anaheim that has almost 1 million views. Now that video, if you just look at the averages, it was getting about 500 to 1,000 views a day, sometimes a little bit less, sometimes a lot more, like up to 12, maybe 1,400, sometimes spiking up higher than that. But on average, about 500 to 1,000 views a day. It should have hit 1 million views sometime in May, or if not May, then definitely sometime in June if it had continued like that. But for some reason, in that first week of May, the views just plummeted down to slightly over 100, some maybe 200 on a good day, and then sometimes less than 100. And that just doesn't make any sense. But it does make sense if you put 2 and 2 together and you think about who runs YouTube and Google. They probably don't like channels like mine. I don't put out that good, wholesome, leftist bullshit propaganda that some channels do, and they don't like that. So I'm guessing something happened within that first week of May if there was another sort of unannounced adpocalypse or something where my channel just got blacklisted or something like that. Well, so anyway, if anybody out there would like to help me out, you watch my channel, you like my content, if you'd like to share it, make sure you sub, make sure you hit that little notification bell. It would really help me out. You know, it's pretty disheartening to put a lot of time and effort into videos only to have something like that happen where, you know, YouTube just doesn't like my content, so one day they decide to screw me over. It's pretty messed up. But anyway, I just wanted to put that out there. I finally got around to taking a good look at those analytics, and I realized that it was the first week of May, because it wasn't just that homeless video, it was all the videos. Not like I mean, I only have a couple videos that have over 10,000 views. Only one that's got over 100,000, but I noticed that it was that first week of May when everything seemed to happen, and all the views, the reach, everything went down, and it went down a lot. I mean, how does a video... I'll put the analytics up on screen just for that homeless in Anaheim video. You know, when it's going from 500 to 1,000 views a day to just plummeting all of a sudden, all within like 2 or 3 days, it just seems awfully strange. And if you know the history of YouTube about how they just like to blacklist people, it makes perfect sense. But anyway, on to the video. Now, this was going to be kind of like the third part of my last 3 videos. The last one being the... Shit, I can't even remember what I made the title. But I wanted to do all 3 at once. Unfortunately, I couldn't, or all 3 within a couple days. But yeah, the other day we got some 70-degree weather, and John's bike was kind of messed up, so we couldn't get out as long as we wanted. And I wanted to ride it, or do it then. Oh, turkey! Look at that! Holy hell, that was cool. Anyway, today I wanted to talk about getting out of your comfort zone. Now, for me, the biggest example I can give you of how I got out of my comfort zone in life was joining the Army. You know, I joined not too long, well, actually a couple days after I turned 20, and got to experience a lot of things that if I had just stayed in my hometown, I never would have got to experience. Now, I'm definitely not saying everybody should run out and join the military. It's not for everyone. I get that. But for me, it was definitely a good thing. I mean, if I had stayed around here, I probably would have been living just a boring, average life, just like most of the people that I went to high school with who never left this area. Either that or I would have ended up possibly dead or in jail because I was involved in some pretty shady things. But anyway, that's all in the past. And joining the military got me the hell out of here. I got to meet a lot of great people, travel to a lot of great places. Not Iraq, that place sucked. But anyway, I noticed something whenever I first got to basic and then on to AIT and then even at my first duty station. There were so many guys out there who didn't know how to do laundry. Now in basic, I can't remember. I don't think we did our own laundry. I think it got sent out. But then once we were in AIT, we had to start washing our own clothes. And I saw guys that would just dump like 2 or 3 cups of laundry detergent in for a small load of laundry. They would put everything on hot and just ruin their clothes. Like they just didn't know what the hell to do. And that was kind of weird because I left for basic about a month before most high schools hold their graduation. So I really didn't have a lot of 18-year-old fresh out of high school type of people in my basic or AIT classes. So that just goes to show that there's some older guys out there who didn't even know how to do their own laundry. And I think a lot of that is being pampered by their parents, being treated like babies their entire lives, never learning how to do anything on their own. I mean, even once I got to my first duty station, there were guys that ordered food every single night. Like they either ate at the DFAC or they would order pizza or go out and get a burger, go out wherever. They never cooked for themselves. And if they did eat in the barracks, it would be some kind of microwave meal or one of those disgusting pre-made vacuum packed subs that you can get from the shopette. Or, maybe something like that from the commissary. Maybe a regular pre-made sub that wasn't too bad. But still, that's just nasty. And that was really strange for me because I think I was probably like 13 or 14 or something. I knew how to make spaghetti sauce from scratch. I knew how to do my own laundry. I knew how to do all that basic stuff. And it's so weird talking to women nowadays whenever I tell them, like, yeah, I got my own house, I do my own laundry, cook my own food. I got a pressure cooker. I make a ton of food in there. I just got a really nice cast iron skillet, and it came pre-seasoned, but I seasoned it anyway, so I've been cooking a lot of stuff in there with some grapeseed oil. It's supposed to be pretty good for you, better than most other kinds of oils. Anyway, but whenever I tell women that, I got my own house, cook for myself, clean, all that stuff, they're like, oh, you're so domesticated. I'm like, what? That's domesticated? What do you mean? Like, that's normal for me. Knowing how to live and survive on your own is normal for me. Especially after being in the Army, becoming an NCO, and then still being forced to live in the barracks. You get a whole barracks room to yourself. And then if you have a foreman grill or, whatever you want to choose to cook with, you can use that kind of thing, assuming the barracks where you live allow you to have a foreman grill. But yeah, that cooking for myself, cleaning, doing my own laundry, all of that was just normal for me. So I don't really get where, maybe it's just these women are meeting guys who do nothing but order food, or maybe they take their laundry to their parents' house. But I've noticed that since I got out of the Army that there's a lot of people that I knew from high school that just never left. They never left my hometown. And a lot of that, I think, has to do with not wanting to leave their comfort zone. When your parents live a mile or two away, or some guys even, they'll buy a house, a block away from their parents. I knew a guy whose grandmother owned an apartment complex, and the mom lived on the main floor, the grandmother lived on the top floor, and he ended up renting out the apartment in the basement. I'm thinking, man, that, as far as convenience, that's got to be nice. Like, say you get married and have kids, and then you want to let your parents watch the kids or something. Yeah, that's nice. But just living that close to your parents, I mean, when I got out of the Army, I got an apartment that was about a mile away from my mom's house. And the only reason I did that was the apartment, it was cheap. A lot of the stuff was included in the rent. It allowed me to save money to eventually buy a house. But even living that close, I'm just like, oh man, she's going to be up here bothering me all the time. Because, I didn't get to see my mom for about 10 years. I hardly got to see her while I was in the Army, except whenever I was on leave. So it's not like I hated seeing my mom or anything, but it's just I didn't want her up there bugging me all the time. And it ended up she didn't do that, so that was nice. But if you just never move out of your hometown, I could understand that in some situations. If you get a really good job, you've got a good solid foundation. But I think with most people, that's not the case. A lot of people just want that comfort. They want to know that, they could go to their parents' house for dinner 2 or 3 days a week, or maybe even more. They could take their laundry and their parents are still going to do it for them. Shit like that. Personally, I could just not live like that. I have to be independent. I have to be on my own. Maybe that's one of the many reasons why MGTOW just feels so natural for me. But if you're one of those guys and you're having trouble just getting out of that situation, start looking for jobs somewhere else. Even if it's like 20, 30 miles away from your hometown. For people who went to college outside of their hometown, you've had a little taste of freedom. You're still a student, but as long as you're not living under your parents' roof and you're kind of far away from home, you know what I'm talking about. And then, of course, anybody who's been in the military, chances are you're stationed very far away from your hometown. So you folks definitely understand what it's all about. But I've seen that way too much. I still see guys who are in their 30s and still rely on their parents for so much. When are you going to grow up? Some people never will. That's the truth, man. Getting out of your comfort zone is a very important part of life that some people will just never accomplish. Why is the speed limit so damn low? What the hell? Oh well. Now again, I'm not saying everybody has to do what I did. And there are some people who grew up, never left their hometown, they're still living there, and they're perfectly happy and they're doing well. But there's a lot of people who aren't. And it is pretty scary. For me, it was scary as hell because I joined after September 11th, so I knew, especially with the MOS that I picked, I knew where I was going. I knew what was going to happen. But a lot of folks just get stuck in that trap of, wanting to be comfortable, not wanting anything to change, not wanting to take any risks. Now for me, taking a risk is buying a stock. You never know. Even the best analysts out there can't predict if a stock is going to go up or down. You can have a pretty good idea. Like, I bought AMD a couple months ago before the new Ryzen chips came out because I knew they were going to be good. Well, I didn't know. I had a very good feeling that they were going to be good and AMD stock was going to go up, and it did. And now, if I were to sell my stocks, I'd be making a pretty penny. But so for the guys out there who are afraid to leave that comfort zone, take a chance, man. Just take a chance. There's a feeling of satisfaction when you live on your own. You're paying your own bills. You don't have to rely on your parents or your friends or any of your family members for anything. I just can't explain it. It feels really good. It feels like you've actually accomplished something worthwhile in life. And that's another thing I don't understand. Like, if you still have to rely on your parents for a ton of different things, oh man, how can you look at yourself in the mirror and be happy? I couldn't. But oh well. I guess growing up's not for everybody, especially in this current generation where people just want to stay in college forever and think they deserve a 6-figure job whenever they got out just because they have some useless degree in a subject that nobody gives a shit about. But so that's about it. Get the hell out there. Take some chances. You never know what's going to happen. You don't want to be looking back on your life whenever you're in your 40s or 50s, 60s, or even older, wondering what might have been. You know, I see a lot of guys that were in the military who would just shack up with the first girl who gave them some ass. They would settle. That was it. They're just like, oh, well, it's never going to get any better than this. You know, the guys who never got laid in high school, and all of a sudden they meet some future dependopotamus. She gives them a little booty, and then a couple weeks later, they're engaged, and a couple weeks after that, they're married. Those guys settle because they just think it's never going to get any better. And believe me, if you marry a dependa, it's only going to get worse. Any veterans out there can definitely back me up on that one. But all right, I just had to throw that last part in. Anyway, that's about it. Hope everybody enjoyed this, and I hope anybody out there who's still living with or depending on their parents for a lot of things can go out and take a chance. You won't regret it. So don't forget, like, dislike, comment, subscribe, hit that little notification bell. Oh, and by the way, since the weather is going to be getting cooler here, once it gets too cold to ride, I'm not going to be doing moto vlogs. But I do have a ton of moto vlog B-roll saved. And I'm wondering, for the people who are subscribed and watch my videos on a regular basis, whenever I start putting out videos after riding season is over, would you rather see moto vlog B-roll or video game footage, or a combination of both? And I'll probably be putting out a combination of both, but either way, I'd like to see what people think about it. So that's about it. Hope you guys enjoyed. And it's not near the end of riding season yet, so I'll have plenty more videos coming up on the bike. And I'm going to enjoy the rest of this day. I probably only got like a half hour of daylight left, so I will see you guys later. Peace.